In 15th century England, the seeds of rebellion and conspiracy were beginning to sprout. The English knight Henry Percy, famously known as Hotspur for his ferocity on the battlefield, ignited a revolt against the throne. After a bloody victory against the Scots, Hotspur demanded the king pay a ransom for his kinsman's release. King Henry IV refused, dismissing it as unnecessary trouble. Enraged, Hotspur insulted the king in open court and stormed out. The fires of rebellion were lit. Meanwhile, far from the luxury of the palace, Prince Henry, known to all as Hal, spent his days in the gritty taverns of London among commoners. He had no desire for power or the burden of the throne. His constant companion was the retired, aging knight, John Falstaff. Hal sought to remain hidden among the masses, hoping to forget the weight of his royal inheritance. But destiny would not leave him in peace. One afternoon, a royal messenger arrived with grim news. The king was ill and wished to see his eldest son one last time. Though Henry was initially reluctant, Falstaff convinced him, saying, "If you are not by your father's side in his final hours, the guilt will haunt you forever." Henry returned to the palace, only to be met with a cold truth. The king informed him that due to his bohemian lifestyle, he would not inherit the crown. Instead, his younger brother Thomas would be the next king. Henry accepted this calmly, but when he learned that his inexperienced brother was marching to war against the legendary Hotspur, he was struck with dread. He wanted his brother spared from the bloodshed, but Thomas, blinded by arrogance, ignored his warnings. The next day, a stunning scene unfolded on the battlefield. Just as Thomas found himself in peril, Henry appeared, clad in armor. He did not wish for innocent soldiers to die for a family feud. He challenged Hotspur to single combat. The clash of their swords echoed through the air like thunder. After a long and grueling struggle, Henry used his wit and courage to overpower and kill Hotspur. A massive battle was averted, and thousands of lives were saved. Yet, despite his victory, Henry received no praise. Thomas felt Henry had stolen his chance for glory. Shortly after, Thomas was killed in a separate battle, and the king lay on his deathbed. Sir William Gascoigne, the king's chief justice, brought an urgent message. The kingdom was leaderless and would fall into chaos unless Henry took the throne. Henry faced his father in his final moments, venting years of suppressed anger and calling him a monster just before the old man breathed his last. Out of a life of simplicity, Henry emerged as King Henry V of England. Soon after his coronation, the Dauphin of France sent him a gifta simple tennis ball. It was a gesture of ultimate mockery and contempt. Gascoigne urged the king to view this as a provocation for war. Still, Henry remained a man of peace and did not want more blood on his hands. However, word soon arrived that the French king had sent an assassin to kill him. Fearing for the safety and honor of his kingdom, Henry was forced to declare war on France. He sought out his old friend John Falstaff, appointing him as his marshal and chief strategist. Upon landing in France, Henry realized the gravity of the situation. Though they captured the fortress of Harfleur after a long siege, the English were vastly outnumbered by the massive French army. At the field of Agincourt, fear gripped the English ranks, but Falstaff devised a brilliant plan. Knowing that heavy rain had turned the field into a muddy bog, he predicted that the heavily armored French knights would get stuck. The battle began. Just as Falstaff predicted, the French cavalry sank into the mud. English archers rained arrows upon them, and the French lines collapsed in chaos. Henry himself descended into the mud, fighting alongside his common soldiers. England emerged victorious, but the cost was devastating. John Falstaff lay dead on the field. Standing over his friend's body, King Henry wept. He had won a kingdom, but lost his soul's confidant. The King of France surrendered and offered his daughter Catherine in marriage to seal the peace. Back in England, during a private moment, Catherine asked Henry a startling question. Why had he invaded France without cause? She swore that her family had never sent an assassin, nor had they sent the mocking ball. The truth hit Henry like a thunderbolt. He realized he had been a pawn in a larger game. He immediately summoned Gascoigne. Under interrogation, Gascoigne confessed that he had orchestrated the entire conspiracy to unite England and France under one rule. He believed this small lie was necessary for a great empire. Consumed by rage, Henry killed Gascoigne on the spot with a swift strike of his dagger. The story ends with King Henry as the ruler of a vast empire, yet surrounded by shadows of betrayal. Holding Catherine's hand, he made only one request: Always speak the truth to me." Outside, thousands cheered for their new king. But behind the celebration stood a man burdened by the loneliness of the crown and the scars of war. Thanks for watching.